Hey witches, this is Dawn, and I have something very special, very cool, very fun. There's a shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to Vonda Russell for asking this question. I had showed you in another video a jar spell that I had done, and I wire wrapped a piece of shungite. Okay, so I wire wrapped a piece of shungite because of Nancy Hopkins had done some experiments, and she said that if you use jewelry wire, it has like an epoxy kind of coating on it to keep it from tarnishing, and that actually can kind of contributes to an orgone field. And when you wrap it around the shungite, the chunk of shungite, it actually enhances the shungite field. And I did some experimenting myself with shungite and wire wrapping it, and it does. It seemed to, according to my pendulum, it does expand that field and make it go out farther. So when I made this jar spell for Skip to heal, to help him heal and protect his health during the treatments he was going through, I did the wire wrapping around it to enhance that field and put it on the outside of the jar. I'm not a big fan of putting stones inside a spell jar, just it's my thing. I like to put them on the outside because I know that it carries out a field and it will expand through and into the jar and all around the jar. So I don't feel there's a necessity to put it in the jar. Okay, so whatever. It's just my thing. So Vonda had asked, what about not regular, but other crystals? What happens when you wire wrap them? Do they have this enhancement as well? So I do have some jewelry wire and I have some crystal points. So I decided to experiment. What I have to use for my pendulum is this chart, and it looks intimidating, I know, but it's necessary in order to figure out the field that the crystal is sending out and if it's being enhanced by the wire wrapping. So what I did is I created a temporary program to call these numbers here feet, so that I can measure in feet the field that expands out there. And I wanted it to be a temporary program, meaning once I'm done and I put the pendulum away and I go away and do other stuff, that program dissipates. I don't want my dowsing system to always look at these numbers as feet, okay? So that's why I do that. All right, so I asked my dowsing system, the pendulum, about the size of the crystal, and it doesn't seem to make a difference. Wire wrapping the crystal does enhance the influential field from the crystal. Let's see, does wire wrapping this crystal improve its ability to heal? It said yes. How far in feet does this crystal's field expand out? The small one was 4 feet. I think the larger, they're very similar in size. They're just a little bit different. This one's like a smidge over an inch, and this one's about 1 3/8 inches. So very close in size. Let's see. So about 4 feet. And then when I wrapped the wire around it, it expanded out to 8 feet. So it seems to double it. So it being a crystal point, I know that the energy goes in through the bottom and goes out through the point, but I double checked it with the pendulum, and yes, it does go through the bottom and go out. And that's important with shungite. A chunk of shungite does not have a point necessarily, so it's hard to tell which direction the energy is flowing. So you can use the pendulum to figure that out before you wrap it. So what I did is I wrapped it clockwise. So I'm holding it like this. So when you look down on it, so here's the point, and you're looking down, I'm wrapping it like this, which is clockwise. Okay, so I'm going from the bottom, and I'm winding it all the way up to the top, well, close to the top. And I found that that makes a difference. I wrapped it counterclockwise and I measured it on this chart, and it went negative. It just means, I believe it means a reverse in direction of flow of the energy. So I don't know if I didn't look into it too deeply. I didn't have a lot of time, but it might have been reducing the field because it was going negative. So on this side, everything else was going positive. It was giving me a positive number. So when it went negative, I thought, oh, this maybe, a definite has to go clockwise. Let's see. I asked what length of wire I should use, and this was interesting. So I went through it. So I did another temporary program to call these inches, because I figured the length of wire would be in inches. So it gave me these numbers I said are in inches, and it gave me in inches how long the wire needed to be. And I always ask lower and higher. So I asked, so if it gave me like 3 inches, I asked, well, is 2 inches the optimal length of wire that will enhance, let's see, does the amount of wire. Okay, let me get the actual question. Because the question, the way you word the question is very important. Does the amount of wire wrapped around the crystal make a difference? Yes. So I asked, what is the optimal, I don't have it written down, but I'm thinking, if I remember right, the optimal length of wire to enhance this crystal's energy field to the most effective level, or yeah, something like that. And for the small one, it said 3 inches. For the larger one, it said 4 inches. So when it said 3 inches, I asked 2 inches. It said, no, that's not it. And I asked 3 inches. It said yes. 4 inches, it said yes. Because you're going over 3 inches, it's basically redundant. You can go longer than 3 inches and it will still expand that field out and enhance it to the highest level of effects. Okay, so if you want to double check things, go lower than 3 inches and it'll tell you, no, that's not long enough. Okay, so I did that with both crystals, and then measured the field, and it doubled the field for both of them. So I tried different wire. For orgone, aluminum works really well, which means that it doesn't have to be copper wire. I have some aluminum wire that is gold plated. It's a gold color. I think it's more like brass, really, but it's plated, and it seemed to work fairly well. But to me, just this experimenting, it seemed like the copper wire was best, but the aluminum wire would work as well. I did not check the gauge of the wire. This is 20 gauge, so I'll show you real quick. This is 20 gauge wire. It's copper jewelry wire, and it has the epoxy finish over it to protect it. All right, so I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Sorry about that. And yeah. Okay, then let's see, what else did I brought in a strawberry crystal, and things got a little weird. And I think I was getting fatigued. My back was starting to bother me, and I was dehydrated. I kept drinking water, but it seemed the pendulum was starting to act weird, which tells me I've done this long enough and I need to quit. So, but I will be getting into looking at other crystals because I want to see the difference. And why not? I mean, what properties does the strawberry crystal have that will enhance my life, my body, my mind, my emotions, my spirit? Everyone is different, and so it's important for you to find out what works for you. and for me to find out what works for me. And I can tell you about what works for me, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. All right. And I learned that lesson from going to a naturopath when I was sick. And I went to a conventional doctor and told her all my symptoms. And she says that I can't find anything wrong with you. So I got to go. I cannot, I cannot feel comfortable going to a conventional doctor anymore because of that experience. Before I went to the doctor, I meditated and I found that I felt like my liver was inflamed. I went to my Reiki teacher. She did a session with me. She said, there's something going on with your liver. I went to a friend and we did a Reiki exchange, and she said, there's something going on with your liver. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, so that's confirmation. So I went to the doctor and the doctor said, you're fine. So I went to a naturopath and he says, well, your liver's inflamed. Okay, now we got something. And he had me hold on to a probe that was connected to a computer with software that told him which herbs would work best for my body. So for the liver, you think of milk thistle and dandelion root, right? This said yellow dock would work best with my body and helping my liver. So I really learned a lesson from that we cannot take for granted just because it worked for somebody else that it's going to work for me. And it's so important to have a divination system so that you can confirm that what works for you. All right, so that's it. I'm rambling on, getting off topic, but I wanted to share that with you. Yes, wire wrapping seems to make a difference. It expands the field. I'm going to do some more experimenting. Hopefully you will find this interesting and it will inspire you to do some experimenting. And let me know in the comments if you've done experiments like this with wire wrapping crystals and if it enhances them and what your experience is with that. So I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your comments. Do something today that makes you feel good and brings you joy. And until next time, blessed be. Love you all.